So I know a lot of people probably expected this to come out a little sooner, but I wanted to do my best to take my time, think about what I saw in this match, and take what is the frustration of losing 2-1 to Real Madrid, think about what that meant in the big picture, which obviously, Frances and I will be talking plenty about on the podcast this week. But I did want to take this match that I felt largely optimistic while the match was happening. Minute by minute, 10 minutes by 10 minutes, half by half, there were optimistic things that I was seeing from the match. However, the big negative here, and the one that I understand for all my optimism that people are going to let me know down in the comments below, the pessimism that I understand, that I fully understand, I feel as well, is that in a big match, another big match this season, that this Barca team, who've been so good in 2021, they were unbeaten since December. They still couldn't get over the hump in a big match. And then that puts their chances of winning the Liga trophy in jeopardy. It also doesn't help to lose to Real Madrid. Trust me, my mentions and the different things that I'm getting and hearing from Real Madrid fans who want to let me know that being happy about the starting lineup like I was the incorrect move. Again, completely understand that. So I think we should talk about the lineups. We should talk about this match and break down what, again, largely I think Barcelona did well, but how Real Madrid wind up getting the upper hand in this 2-1 victory for them. So the starting lineup for Barcelona, clearly Piqué not fit enough to go. Roberto not trusted to start because, as we're going to talk about, is going to be a common theme here. Oscar Mingueza was the man of the match for me in terms of Barcelona. Again, not overall, but for Barcelona, Mingueza was the best player on the field. So I was happy to see that Piqué wasn't rushed back, or even Roberto playing as the right center back, as we had seen earlier in the season. I was happy that Mingueza got the start. I thought Dest deserved to start, and this all made sense. Even last week against Real Valladolid, this all made sense. Dembélé up in the middle, Messi and Pedri, De Jong stepping into the midfield to make sure that Cruz and Modric didn't have time on the ball. Busquets as well, Alba and Dest out wide, Lenglet, Araujo, and Mingueza as the back three, and obviously Ter Stegen in net. For Zidane, though, he basically had one move to make. And I had brought this up in the previews that we were going to see at least 10 of the 11. We knew who they would be because of injuries and other guys out. So the real question was whether or not it'd be Asensio or potentially Vinicius Jr. or would Fede Valverde step in? And indeed, Zidane wound up playing, I guess what I'd call the Joker card from the start by having Fede Valverde play on the wing, who in his 2 matches against Barcelona in El Clásico has been probably the best player on the field, arguably, which is unfortunate that Fede Valverde, who's having a down year, he's not really progressing the way he should have, and yet against Barcelona, that's the one he shows up with. But nevertheless, that was what Zidane could do to add a little bit of the wrinkle, because I think Koeman and I think Barcelona were expecting Asensio, but Fede Valverde wound up properly occupying space, not only on the wing, but also cutting inside in ways that I don't think Barcelona prepared for with how high Jordi Alba was playing on the other side. All that said, this match started where both teams were kind of filling each other out. 10th minute comes around, Messi to Alba to Dembélé, and it could have been 1-0. I have to give credit where credit is due. Eder Militao playing his first El Clásico, and Nacho, who is the backup center back, hasn't been great in place of Varane and Sergio Ramos, yet those two were spot on with their positioning today, making sure that Dembélé wasn't able to get on the move in the same way that Karim Benzema did. Barcelona also, to start this match, I was happy with what I keep calling, as you know, the rest defense. Barca were pressing. They weren't playing too high of a line, so they were anticipating those counterattacks. And I thought, again, the first 20 minutes of this match, Barca were going toe for toe, and these teams were figuring it out. And you started to understand how each team would score their goals. And I guess I shouldn't say 15-20 minutes, because in the 13th minute, it's Valverde the one finding space, as I mentioned, Vasquez to Benzema, the back heel, and really the one mistake from Araujo all game. And even on this one, you could blame Araujo a bit, because Benzema was able to get the back heel off. He had that kind of space, and Araujo wasn't behind him to block it. But on the near post, Ter Stegen probably should have done better with this one, anticipating that with Araujo's positioning, Benzema only had one place to go with that ball. And yes, it was a bit of trickery with the back heel from Benzema, but I think Ter Stegen needs to do better in that instance. Benzema also is in terrific form, 8 goals in 7 starts in his last 8 matches in the Liga in particular. So Benzema has been on fire. I said he was the player to watch. As much as we talked about the fresh faces, about the youthful players, Messi and Benzema, this is what this game might have come down to, and so Benzema gets the opener. 28th minute, Toni Kroos gets a second from a free kick, goes on 2 deflections. That's only first in El Clásico for Toni Kroos, and I think Barcelona did the right thing against Modric, against Kroos today. I thought Busquets, Pedri, De Jong, they crowded them off the ball, they crowded them off the space, and unfortunately, this is football. Those free kicks, those deflections, all the rain, all of that culminates in the second goal. The problem is when you commit the foul and put Cruz in that kind of position, but it's not like he's a free kick specialist. A lot had to go right for him to get the ball in the back of the net. It comes down to the positioning of Alba and Ter Stegen, and yes, it does, I think, in this instance. This is not just me as a Barca fan, but it also comes down to a little bit of luck. But Real Madrid did put themselves in a position to create their own luck, having Toni Kroos take that free kick from the position he had. The wind and the rain continue to be factors in this game. Messi hits the crossbar from the corner. I think it was intended to be a corner with the near post, but the wind took it a bit, and that's why it goes off the crossbar instead of, it could have been an Olympico if the wind decided to die down just a bit at the last second. All said and done, after 45 minutes, it was 2-0, but I actually was still largely optimistic. I think Real Madrid were the better team. They deserved 2 goals, but I think Barca, with their performance, had deserved 1. The final ball just wasn't good enough. Alba in particular, Dembele, they weren't smooth on the day. Dest could have been a little bit better. Even up through the middle, Real Madrid was daring Lele to take those long shots, and he wasn't. So putting a player in that position who's going to take that long shot, we saw in the second half, Mingueza, not only his goal, but he was putting himself in position to shoot. And I think that was something that Barca was missing a little bit in the build-up. So Ronald Koeman and Barcelona knew that something had to change, and it did. And the changes, I think, made a lot of sense. Dest doesn't come off from performance reasons, but he comes off for tactical reasons. Griezmann to the middle to be a reference point for those center backs, and Dembele just isn't. And Dembele moving over to the right wing. Barcelona had their chance in the second half. Don't get it twisted. Real Madrid, they had already won this match in the first half now that we know the final score. But Barcelona in the second half, obviously, they were a superior team. You could argue they were the superior team now in the match with how dominant they were in the second half, with Real Madrid just fighting to keep their 3 points. Plenty of balls being swung in, some dangerous, some not so dangerous. The 55th minute, offside. Now we have a moment when you're thinking Barcelona are really on the doorstep now. Dembele to De Jong to Griezmann, but offside, and Griezmann also wasn't able to get the ball in the back of the net anyway. In my notes, I have to speak about, at this moment, Mingueza's defensive performance. He, in that second half, was the reason why this didn't become 3-1. Lenglet was fine, Araujo was fine, Busquets and De Jong were fine in transition. I think all of them could have had better games. But Mingueza, I don't know how the 10-plus year La Masia graduate could have possibly had a better game. Defensively, in the second half, 66th minute, he goes back to track Vinicius, where that could have been the third goal. There was another instance where he winds up clearing it, not off the line, but near the goal line. Mingueza defensively, that's what I had in my notes, was really good. And for him to get this goal says a lot about his character and says a lot about, I think, his future in this team moving forward. Mingueza's goal comes from an Alba cross, Griezmann with the dummy, and this is on purpose, this Griezmann dummy, and this is why Griezmann was also inserted into this game. He winds up taking the attention of Militao, and Mingueza is there to finish. And he had a bit to do, especially in the rain. Difficult to find that bouncing ball, especially when he could have lost track of it during Griezmann's dummy. But Mingueza winds up bringing Barca back into this match, and from that moment on, I think there was always belief, but Real Madrid at times felt like you could have got a third goal out of them. Instead, at this moment, this is where Barcelona fans felt like, and just speak for myself, this is where I truly believe that at this moment that Barca were going to come back and tie this one up 2-2. And if not for Courtois, they might have. Courtois, a kick save off another Alba cross. Then the 64th minute, continuing to make changes, is Koeman. Busquets comes off, Roberto comes on. Fede Valverde comes off, Asensio comes on. So that doesn't really change what Real Madrid's doing. And Zidane didn't really change what Real Madrid were doing at all. Regardless of his subs, he stepped with the same game plan because they were up by the 2 goals and then they were up by the 1 goal, just trying to hang on. Roberto coming in for Busquets added just a bit more dynamism, I guess you'd say. There were questions certainly about Roberto's match fitness, but I think he fit in and did the job he was supposed to in this match. 72nd minute, more subs. Ias comes on for Araujo. Benzema, Vini, and Cruz all coming off for Isco, Marcelo, and Mariano, and their job was just to defend in the rain for their lives. And Ias Moriba coming on as an extra midfielder because Barcelona knew that they were just going to have to continue to pepper that box and hope something happens. And Ias Moriba continues to be the right choice. I was happy about Mingueza. I'm going to be happy about Ias Moriba. He had the header attempt. He had the late one in extra time off the crossbar. And for Ias Moriba to come into this game, a kid who scored a hat-trick just a few years ago against a Real Madrid youth side, Ias Moriba deserved to be in this match, and he was the right choice to be put in this match at that moment. More subs as well in the 81st, Trincao and Braithwaite. For Dembele and Pedri, and Braithwaite, this is the penalty shout. I think most people would agree, and what I had said on Barca's Twitch feed, as we did the live coverage for that, was if the referee had initially called that a penalty, I don't think VAR overturns it because there was a bit of contact with the hands and the arms, but because Mendy didn't really affect the position of his lower body, that being Braithwaite, I don't think he touched him with the force to bring him down, so I understand as well why the referee didn't call this a penalty. Either way, you can argue it's a penalty or not. I understand why it wasn't a penalty or wasn't called a penalty on the spot, and this was definitely not going to be overturned by VAR. So I'm, again, not going to try to push an agenda here. I would understand both sides, but I understand why it wasn't a penalty. But I think for those who say that it could have been, you have a good argument with Mendy getting his positioning there. Casemiro gets the 2 quick yellows. Glad to see him come off the field, but it didn't really matter because it was a little bit too late for Barcelona. The unfortunate thing, losing 2-1, this is the first time that Real Madrid has beat Barcelona 2 times in one season since the 2007-08 season. So I understand as well, and I know I keep saying that I understand, but I do. I'm a Kool-Aid just like you, so I understand that you feel like Barcelona are just the same team that you saw in the fall. But it's not. This is still a team that can win the Copa del Rey next weekend. This is still a team that can fight for every point in the Liga the rest of the way. Maybe Real Madrid will still slip up because they still look like a team that could slip up. Atletico Madrid look like a team that could slip up. And Barcelona have 8 matches. All they can do is take care of business, and maybe later luck will be on their side. And they still have a Copa del Rey to win as well and a trophy to capture for this team. So I'm not all gloom and doom after this one. Yes, it's El Clásico. Yes, it hurts. But Kool-Aids, we need to power on through the rest of this season because I think that's what this team is going to do. They have good mentality. They just had a poor first half against Real Madrid, and that's what hurts. So I don't think I have much more to say. I appreciate everybody who always follows and comments and does all the thing you do on this channel. So I appreciate that. And until next time, Forza Barca.